Oh. Check 1 2, check 1 2. All right, so we're live again. Are we live again? We might as well be, right? Absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. How y'all doing? You following your dreams? I hope you are. I sincerely hope you are. So the internet is having a full blown nervous breakdown. Oh, I see what happened there. Okay, that makes sense. So we got Trump, Iran, NASCAR, NATO, Bezos, Rogan, Taiwan. Everybody spiking at once. So now you are early. You're sharp and officially inside the control room. Hit like if you want. If you do like it, subscribe, join, become a member, and super chat the story you want me to chase first, because chat is driving this spaceship. And yes, we may need some helmets, and we got POTUS. We got POTUS here. He might be going to his son's wedding in the Bahamas. Let's see what's happening.
Attending your son's wedding this weekend, by the way?
He'd like me to go, but it's going to be just a small little private affair, and I'm going to try and make it. I'm in the midst. I said, this is...
You know, the thing about that is if he goes, he's already letting them know where his location is going to be. So that's kind of questionable, right? Already, you don't... Security measures have to be extremely big if he does go. Well, anywhere he goes, they have to be big. So what do you think, chat? Is he going to make it to his son's wedding?
Not good timing for me. I have a thing called Iran and other things. That's one I can't win on. If I do attend, I get killed. If I don't attend, I get killed. By the fake news, of course, I'm talking about. No, but he's got a very person who I've known for a long time, and hopefully they're going to have a great marriage.
Yeah, hopefully, man. Hopefully. That'd be great. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Thanks.
And we got Jeff Bezos on AI. Let's hear it, Mr. Bezos. Let's hear it.
I mentioned my optimism a minute ago, and we should definitely talk about that, because I think there's so many people who are afraid that AI is going to take their job. I think that there's going to be a labor shortage as a result. So
let's go there then.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay in space, but let's go to that, because
we can come back. We can be in space too, whatever you want.
Well,
Andrew,
but that's fascinating, because I don't know if you saw, Eric Schmidt gave a commencement address over the weekend.
Yeah.
And the students were booing because every time he mentioned AI, they were booing, because I think they're deeply fearful and worried about whether they're going to have a job.
Yeah, well, and the reason they're afraid of that is because all these smart people keep saying that. So there are so many smart people, and they are smart. And
how you doing, Be Scary?
They are saying, oh my God, there are going to be no more radiologists because, AI can read X-rays better than a radiologist can. And there are going to be no more software engineers because AI can program better than a software engineer can. These people are wrong. So what's really going to happen is that it's going to elevate all of these people, and there's going to. It's like you've been digging. Let's say you're a software engineer,
right?
The analogy I can give you is you've been digging out a basement for your house with a shovel, and somebody's about to hand you a bulldozer. You should be so happy. If you're digging the basement to your house and somebody says, "Hey, how about this? I have a tool here that's going to," and what's really going to happen is we're going to have so much productivity in our economy that, for example, this is just one effect. A lot of people who have two-earner income households, one of the people is going to drop out of the workforce. That's why we're going to have a labor shortage. People, because of the productivity gains, you're going to be able to afford things. We're going to have, I predict we'll actually have deflation of certain core, assuming we let this technology play out and don't hamstring it with regulation.
So many people have been saying, study AI, become better at AI, just become absolutely incredible. What do you think, chat? Do you think it's an important thing to become incredibly versatile with AI, or not so much, just breeze over it?
Too early. We will actually have, everything will get, food will get cheaper, and housing construction will get cheaper, and so on and so on.
Is there a transition cost? I mean,
we can even solve the permitting problem I was talking about earlier for housing. Like, it should take, if you are a builder, why does it take you 6 months, 9 months, 2 years, 5 years, depending on what municipality you live in, to get a building permit?
AI should be able to do it.
AI should do that in 10 seconds, and it should give you a yes or no in 10 seconds, and then you should have your authority to build it. By the way, if it says no, it should give you the 6 reasons why.
RMX Indiana disagrees completely, saying we don't need AI for anything. Honestly, would like to know more about it. What makes you say that? Thank you for your chat, buddy.
And then you go change those things and resubmit. And you start building tomorrow instead of 2 years from now.
But how do you answer? I mean, Amazon's laid a whole bunch of people off. You heard Mark Zuckerberg.
Not because of AI.
Mark Zuckerberg recently laid a bunch of people off.
Is that because of AI?
Jack Dorsey has. Jack Dorsey ascribes it directly to AI.
Well, you'd have to talk to Jack about that. I don't know, but he must have had a lot of extra people. We're not seeing those same kinds of things.
But the reason that people are talking about this is in the context of coding right now.
RMX Indiana says we have gotten along fine without it. Okay, yeah, that's accurate. So you think that AI is directly affecting our life in a negative way, or? And if you don't mind me asking you, are you male, female? How old are you, and which state, country, or region are you from?
Now, and also in the context that for these companies to have the extraordinary valuation, I think that we're talking about, they have to create extraordinary productivity.
Look, can I give you a different lens to view this? So, if I'm a software engineer, I need to up level and think to myself, what am I really doing? What is a good, computer scientist, software engineer? What we really do is we identify problems and we help solve them. And the code is almost just it's a piece of execution that helps with that. But the real job is going to be identifying problems and helping to solve them. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And that's not going to go away, because that's the kind of thing that humans are going to be good at, is figuring out, okay, we want this. And they're going to work with that tool to build the system. But we humans are never going to run out of problems, and we're never going to run out of the need for solutions.
Good point. Indiana is male, United States. AI is taking jobs from humans, which will ultimately hurt the economy. Well, humans have the skill to adapt, so hopefully you're wrong. Hopefully more jobs are built because of AI, but you never know. Definitely. I don't know the future. We got Yucca Trash 79 saying AI makes them too much money and power. Yeah, a lot of people are becoming successful from AI. That's true.
And it's just that the work is going to be done at a higher
Do you use AI in your everyday life or in your job?
level. It's going to be done with a bulldozer instead of a shovel. And that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be efficient, very, very efficient. We're going to have a lot of improvements in our life, that's for sure. Absolutely. The U.S. indictment of former Cuban president. All right. Raúl Castro indictment.
Cuba's long struggle has ended with the flight of Batista and the triumph of Fidel Castro.
Look at those days, man. The good old days. No AI at all. Right here.
Modern Cuba's story began in 1959. Fidel Castro's rebels took power, ousting dictator Fulgencio Batista, and the US quickly recognized Castro's new government. But initially friendly relations soured as Americans criticized summary trials and executions of Batista loyalists. In 1960, Cuba nationalized nearly all US businesses, and the US declared an embargo on most exports to Cuba. In 1961, it broke diplomatic relations. Castro declared Cuba a socialist state, and a day later the US sponsored a doomed operation meant to topple Castro at the Bay of Pigs.
Yucca says, more messing with other nations than fixing the things that we have here. Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge issue. But my question is, by us fixing or allegedly fixing situations in different countries, are we helping our country? That's the whole question. But yeah, absolutely. We got the homeless, the D-rug problem, fraud. Yeah, there's too many issues in the United States for sure that we need to fix before we try to fix another country. Absolutely.
In 1962, the world came close to
Q, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Nuclear war, when the Soviet Union put nuclear missiles in Cuba and the US responded with a blockade, a standoff known as the Cuban Missile Crisis.
This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba.
US President John F. Kennedy agreed not to invade Cuba again.
The first Latin American country to become a target for nuclear war.
US President Jimmy Carter tried to normalize relations with Cuba when he took office in 1977, re-establishing diplomatic missions and negotiating the release of thousands of prisoners. But the rapprochement was short-lived, with conflicts over Cuba's military mission in Africa, tension caused by Cuban refugees in 1980, known as the Mariel Boat Lift, and the election of Ronald Reagan the following year. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, devastating the Cuban economy, and beginning a decade of crisis on the island known as the Special Period.
We will tighten the enforcement of our...
Colby presents You Need Jesus. There you go, buddy. Thank you. Has Jesus helped you in your life?
Our embargo to keep the pressure for reform on, but we will promote democracy and the free flow of ideas more actively.
After 9/11, the US began sending terror suspects from around the world to Guantanamo Bay naval base in eastern Cuba, angering Cuba, which accused the US of torturing detainees on its territory. In 2006, after a period of ill health...
So just to let you know, the JFK inherited the Bay of Pigs plan, but he approved it. So the CIA invasion plan started under Eisenhower, but Kennedy authorized it shortly after taking office. In April 1961, about 1,400 Cuban exiles landed at the Bay of Pigs. The plan depended on Cubans rising up against Castro. They did not. The invasion collapsed fast.
Fidel Castro handed leadership over to his brother Raúl, the head of the Cuban military.
So they tried to run a secret invasion with a fake mustache and a rented tuxedo, and Castro saw through it.
2 years later, Fidel Castro resigned, and his brother was elected as president.
Good afternoon.
In 2014, US President Barack Obama and Raúl Castro announced the restoration of diplomatic ties between the US and Cuba.
In the most significant changes in our policy in more than 50 years.
There's Obama. Obama. Do we need to make an Obama emoji? What do you guys think?
We will end an outdated approach that for decades has failed to advance our interests, and instead we will begin to normalize relations between our two countries.
The thaw in relations brought with it an exchange of prisoners.
So Obama and Raúl Castro was Cold War ice melting on live TV. Obama's gamble was isolation kept Cuba frozen for 50 years. So maybe engagement cracks the system better, right? But the catch was brutal. Cuba wanted the embargo gone. Obama wanted human rights progress, and neither side fully trusted the other.
And the removal of Cuba.
Hugh says no. All right.
From a US terrorism blacklist. Commercial flights resumed and travel bans were relaxed. Just before leaving office in 2017, Obama ended the wet foot, dry foot policy, which had allowed Cubans who reached US soil to stay in an effort to shift migration towards legal pathways. But soon after, Donald Trump took office and announced a partial rollback of the Obama-era policies, once again restricting travel and financial transactions. He would later restore Cuba to the list of state sponsors of terrorism.
America will expose the crimes of the Castro regime.
Meanwhile, tensions rose over mysterious health issues affecting US diplomats called Havana Syndrome. The US withdrew most of its embassy staff from Cuba, leaving a skeleton crew in place. Joe Biden's administration reversed many of Trump's decisions, even as shortages of food and medicine in Cuba sparked protests against the government and the ruling Communist Party.
The protesters called for freedom and human rights.
In the final days of his presidency in January 2025, Biden once again removed Cuba from the list of terror sponsors in exchange for the release of political prisoners. Trump reversed that decision within hours of taking office. He also blocked energy supplies heading for Cuba, and in early 2026 captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, removing Cuba's main source of oil. This led to blackouts and deepening poverty and hunger as farmers struggled to produce food.
Another reason they decided to get Maduro. All right.
Trump also ramped up his rhetoric.
Cuba, which we will be taking over almost immediately.
Almost immediately, that's right. RMX Indiana says, when governments spar, it's always the citizens who suffer. Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately. True. Absolutely true. All right, so thankfully, allegedly, those scam artists in Minnesota, they're getting it.
Prosecutors now tying Fahima Mohammed to 2 schemes totaling $5 million. Joe McCoy has details from the newly unsealed charges.
Federal prosecutors have...
Was that a Trump hippie? I don't know.
Now filed the first charges connected to alleged Minnesota daycare fraud since their renewed focus on the topic began in December. Fahima Mahmoud was the owner of Future Leaders Early Learning Center and
big money gal,
is now charged with fraudulently receiving $4.6 million in Child Care Assistance Program, or CCAP money, from October 2022 to December 2025. Under CCAP rules, child care providers are required to collect co-payments from families and certify they've done so when submitting reimbursement claims. Court documents say Mahmoud
so important that this is happening, because if this is not happening, there's going to be so much more fraud, so much more. There has to be a huge deterrent.
Submitted thousands of reimbursement claims and falsely certified that those payments had been collected. Mahmoud was already charged in February for allegedly stealing $854,000 in the Feeding Our Future meal fraud case. The U.S. Attorney's Office also brought charges Wednesday against daycare owner Ghislaine Mertens.
Ghislaine Mertens. RMX says, was it strategy to take Venezuela oil before attacking Iran, knowing that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz? I think so. I think 100%. Yeah, I think they're doing all this very strategically and not showing us what they're doing until a few days after, you know. How you doing, Tara? Humongous. You caught that one. I didn't catch that one. Okay, that makes sense. Yucca Trash says, not as much fraud as what's been going on with the stock market. What do you mean? What's been going on with the stock market? Oh, that's great, Tara.
According to court documents, Mertens defrauded Minnesota's Great Start Compensation Support Payment Program by inflating the number of hours her staff worked and submitting applications for funds for staff that did not work for her at all. Prosecutors say from November 2024 to May 2025, Mertens received $425,000 in funds she was not entitled to across her 3 child care centers. Those are Creative Stars Academy in Rochester and Casson and Tree of Life Academy in Ramsey. Online court records show Mertens is expected to enter a plea agreement during her first court appearance on June 4th.
The charges against Mahmoud came through what's called a criminal information.
Lil Peek jumping in on the chat saying, why is Trump like being a chair to Israel? What do you mean by that? We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. Yucca Trash saying, you haven't heard about weirdly timed trades the last 36 months? Or are you talking about, yeah. We've heard about those, like the oil trades 15 minutes before Trump releases his statement on his Truth social media. Yeah, heard about those ones. But just curious about if you heard about any other type of stories.
This indicates that she is already cooperating with the feds and plans to plead guilty. Julie.
Plans to plead guilty. Let's see that gal.
Fraudulently.
And there you go. Does she look like a scam artist? Never know. You never know. Salam Sader says, Islam is a friend. Did you say that because her picture popped up, or what's going on? If this woman represents Islam, then it's a friend of fraud, you know, taking United States taxpayer dollars and not doing their job. But I doubt that's what you're saying, unless you're being sarcastic. NATO nation in lockdown. All right.
A fresh drone intrusion over Lithuania sent the entire country into shelters amid widening fears among NATO allies that the expanding Ukraine-Russia war is now dangerously bleeding into alliance territory. The latest alarm unfolded over Vilnius, where lawmakers, ministers, and parliamentary staff were forced underground after a drone violated Lithuanian airspace. Authorities temporarily halted operations at Vilnius Airport, suspended train services around the capital, and instructed schools and kindergartens to move children into shelters as the military scrambled fighter aircraft to locate and neutralize the object.
Based on the specific parameters we have observed, it is most likely either a dedicated combat drone or a drone designed to deceive our defense systems and effectively lure the opponent's electronic countermeasures. At this point, we simply cannot say for certain whether or not it was carrying an explosive device. It's very, very difficult to answer for now, but looking at those parameters, what altitude, what speed it was flying at, it's most likely a drone. What kind of drone? Where exactly it flew from, where it was launched, we cannot say at this stage.
Regarding the current state of affairs today, I am able to share this much information concerning the situation. Earlier this morning, we were officially notified by the Belarusian military command regarding there are reports of drones potentially moving into Lithuanian territory.
So Lithuania didn't just panic over a toy drone. This is NATO's nightmare in miniature. Cheap drones, electronic warfare, Belarus next door, Russia's war nearby, and one mistake that can shut an airport and send leaders into shelters. The drone may be small. The geopolitical shadow is huge. Salty B, how you doing, buddy? How you doing?
Our Latvian neighbors have also received similar information as well.
Lil Peek dropping the jokes. There you go. Maybe not, buddy. Maybe not.
And as a direct result of this, of course, there was naturally. As of today, or at this moment, we cannot.
Lil Peek says, guys, no one from the Island Man files is being prosecuted in the U.S., by the way. Good point. Good point. And will anyone from those Island Men files get prosecuted. What do you guys think?
Confirm the location of the aircraft, whether it has crashed or simply flown out of Lithuanian airspace. We are continuing the search using both military helicopters and ground forces, and if the operation is successful and we locate either the wreckage or the downed aircraft, we will inform you. Our decision was to provide notification when the aircraft was in the yellow zone and to establish that zone. We notified the fire and rescue department so that the public could be alerted when there was a threat and the red zone needed to be established. The red zone was established and we are satisfied.
Citizens received emergency notifications from the Lithuanian military, instructing them to immediately take shelter in a safe place, while NATO's Baltic air policing mission was activated to track the drone.
I was terrifying when the alert came. We were unprepared. For example, I and my colleagues, we go downstairs and wait probably for 30 minutes before another notification that alert is stopped came to our phones. So it was terrifying. We were unprepared and we didn't know what we should do.
So what happened with this drone? Like, was it just a flyby, or did it hit something? Did it make damage? What's going on?
And even now, we don't know what really happened. Was it a drone from the Belarusian side or from the other country?
So I was at home
Prosecute. I was Hugh. I was talking about that other girl, the Minnesota gal, who stole $4.6 million from taxpayers with the CCAP, I think, Child Care Services.
taking shower when I got the alert message. I didn't get scared because I don't
Hey.
know. I just didn't, because like my friends live in Israel and they have to go and hide like every 5 minutes. So I didn't get too surprised either. My husband texted me from work. He told me that they were being evacuated and he was actually...
Oh, Kung Fu Frog says that Somali jumped out of a 4-story window to escape arrest. His leg messed up bad the way he was limping. I didn't see that.
Very worried and asked me to take our dog and go downstairs to the underground garage. So I did it. There were no people except me. So I guess...
Salty Bee says fear-mongering. No one saw anything. There you go. There you go. A little bit more distraction, maybe?
Yes, no one really got very scared. I spent about like maybe 10 minutes there.
Yeah. That's right. Hugh says, I was talking about the files. Prosecute who and for what? Any answers?
There, and then I got the message that like the danger is over.
Lithuanian Foreign Minister Kęstutis Budrys described the incidents as a transparent act of desperation by Russia, arguing that Moscow was attempting to distract attention from the effectiveness of Ukrainian strikes against Russian military infrastructure. Since
coming from Russia, right? Then it definitely could be a fear tactic, right?
It's March. Drone
Kung Fu says radars can see. Can radars see drones? I guess it depends on the size, right?
Drones connected to the Ukraine conflict have repeatedly entered or crashed inside NATO member states bordering Russia, including Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. Each incident is increasing pressure on governments already operating under heightened military alert due to fears of Russian hybrid warfare and regional destabilization. Even NATO chief Marc Rute weighed in, describing alliance reaction to recent incidents as calm, decisive, and...
Hugh says prosecution requires evidence. There is no evidence that would lead to a guilty verdict. Do you think they just, they did something with the evidence? Like, not passing here.
Proportionate, while simultaneously blaming Russia's invasion of Ukraine for creating the conditions that allowed such spillovers to occur.
Let's look what happened over the last couple of days. This is exactly what we planned and prepared for. A calm, decisive and proportionate response to these drone incursions. And if drones come from Ukraine, they are not there because Ukraine wanted to send a drone to Latvia, Lithuania or Estonia. They are there because of the reckless...
Kung Fu Frog says, how many drones do you think China has ready by now? A few million? China makes so many drones so consistently, so often. They make so many things. They have everything on lock. Yeah. They could have as many as they want, honestly.
Illegal full-scale attack of Russia in 2022.
Hugh says they're just accusations. You guys agree? Disagree?
The incident came just one day after neighboring Estonia shot down a suspected Ukrainian drone over its territory, marking another escalation in a growing pattern of aerial spillover across the Baltic region.
Speaking during a press conference, Estonian Defense Minister Hanno Pevkur said the decision was taken because of the drone's flight path and the risks associated with allowing it to continue through Estonian airspace. According to Pevkur, the drone was most probably headed toward Russian targets, but its trajectory crossed into Estonian territory, following which a Romanian jet shot down the drone.
When we take the trajectory of that drone, then we decided that we need to take it down first. Secondly, during the peacetime, as we are in peacetime, we clearly understand that we will not engage when we don't have the visual contact. So visual contact has to be there. And also thirdly, we have to see that the collateral damage cannot be, or we need to avoid the collateral damage. So all these, let's say, indicators allowed us to engage, and then we are really thankful to Romanian fighter jets and also to our partners in Latvia that this cooperation was very good. We had the visual confirmation, but also we have information how this drone was flying, but of course the final confirmation comes when we find the debris of that drone and when we do additional.
Yeah, when they find it, if they find it.
Analysis, and then we can be very, very sure, but most probably, as I said, most probably, today we can say that it was the drone which was, let's say, meant to hit some Russian targets. We've said to the Ukrainians all the time that...
if it's meant to hit Russian targets, it's most likely from Ukraine, right?
If you're attacking Russian positions or Russian targets, then these trajectories have to be as far from the NATO territory as possible. That doesn't mean that this is only Estonia or Latvia. It concerns also Poland, Lithuania, Finland, doesn't matter. The point is that these trajectories have to be so far away from the NATO territory as possible. We have not given our airspace to Ukrainian air forces. This is first, because I hear all the time that Russian propaganda is using that somehow that NATO territories, is it Latvia or is it Estonia or is it Finland, are giving our airspace for Ukrainians. We have not given that. And also, to be very clear, Ukrainians have not asked that.
The incident is particularly significant because Estonia remains one of Ukraine's...
Yep. Just accusations are not. False flags are not new. Absolutely.
...strongest supporters
by Hugh.
Inside NATO, yet even Tallinn is now publicly warning Kyiv about the dangers posed by increasingly aggressive long-range drone operations near alliance borders. The remarks reflect a growing concern across Eastern Europe that the expanding range and frequency of Ukrainian drone strikes deep inside Russia are increasing the chances of spillover incidents involving alliance members.
Kung Fu Frog jumping on the chat saying those new flat pack cardboard drones can now be mass produced and shipped fast. There you go. Talking about these ones. Yeah. Very interesting. I don't see any of them holding anything. They're kind of more like a... or do they put something inside those drones? Do they carry anything on those? This is the first time I've heard of these flat pack cardboard drones. Oh, there we go. Yeah. $400 drone versus a $1 million tank.
In recent months, multiple drones linked to the war have either crossed into or crashed inside NATO countries bordering Russia and Ukraine, including Poland, Romania, and now Estonia. The fact that a NATO jet was used to destroy the drone rather than monitor or redirect it also sends a broader signal about alliance priorities.
regardless of who launched the aircraft or...
Yeah, allegedly the way Zelensky got into power was a huge propaganda advertisement. He was allegedly like a actor on a show on how to become president or something like that, and then he was backed by a bunch of investment people who had interest in Ukraine, and then they swayed the vote like, oh, Zelensky acted like such a great president, he would probably actually be a real president. Why don't you run for presidency? And then they pushed so much money and had TV advertisements, internet advertisements, radio advertisements. He ran and he won because people thought, you know, he'd be amazing. Yeah, he was a failed comedian, absolutely. He used his cojones to play the piano, allegedly.
What its intended target may have been, once it entered NATO airspace, it was treated as a security risk requiring immediate action. For now, Estonia has framed the interception as a defensive necessity rather than a political rebuke of Ukraine. But the incident also reveals...
Sleepy Watcher joined the chat. There you go, buddy. Yep. That was it, that reality show.
A growing unease inside parts of NATO that the expanding drone campaign against Russia could eventually create a crisis, not through deliberate escalation, but through a single flight path gone wrong.
A Ukrainian drone has now reportedly crashed inside NATO territory once again, this time in Latvia, igniting a fire near the Russian border and intensifying fears that Kyiv's expanding drone war is beginning to spill dangerously beyond Ukraine's front lines. The incident has triggered fresh alarm across Europe, where military planners are increasingly confronting the risk of escalation.
Okay, so the drone that crashed in Latvia is confirmed as Ukrainian? Okay.
Inside Allied airspace. What was once a distant battlefield is now edging uncomfortably close to NATO's own borders, raising urgent questions about miscalculation, containment, and how long the alliance can avoid being pulled deeper into the conflict. But what is now turning heads across Europe is not only the crash itself, it is Latvia's response. Instead of publicly condemning Kyiv, Latvian Defense Minister Andris appeared to defend Ukraine's position, even as officials acknowledged that a Ukrainian kamikaze drone likely caused damage to fuel storage tanks near Rezekne, just around 40 kilometers from Russia's border. The reaction is already fueling debate over whether NATO members are becoming increasingly willing to tolerate cross-border incidents in the name of supporting Ukraine, even when Allied territory itself is affected. According to reports, 2 drones crossed into Latvian airspace overnight. Russian military identification sources claimed both aircraft were Lutey-type drones, frequently associated with Ukrainian long-range strike operations. One drone remains unaccounted for, while the second reportedly crashed and triggered the fire near...
So for Lithuania had a suspected drone threat near the Belarus border, but it was not cleanly confirmed as a Ukrainian drone. The bigger story is allegedly scarier. Ukraine launches drones at Russia. Russia may jam or redirect them. And NATO countries like Lithuania and Latvia get dragged into the danger zone, right? Or, even worse, Ukraine, who knows? Who knows which country put it there if it happened?
Near the storage facility. Yet, despite the seriousness of the incident, Sprud stopped short of directly blaming Kyiv, a response that is now drawing intense scrutiny as tensions between NATO and Russia continue to edge toward even more dangerous territory. His message, Ukraine has every right to defend itself.
Hugh says, wait, NATO borders? Where are those located? There you go.
He added that such incidents would continue as long as the war continues, while placing responsibility on Moscow. That stands in sharp contrast to neighboring Finland. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Petteri Orpo said he personally told President Volodymyr Zelensky that Ukrainian aircraft violating Finnish airspace are unacceptable. The incidents are no longer isolated.
Let's see, is this a NATO border? New fronts, NATO's eastern borders. There you go. From Bulgaria all the way up to Estonia, including Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria. That's the NATO border.
Since late March, multiple NATO countries on Russia's northwestern flank have reported Ukrainian drones entering their airspace while attempting long-range strikes on Russian infrastructure. The timing is especially sensitive. Russia says it intercepted 347 Ukrainian drones overnight and 570 over the past 24 hours as Moscow prepares for its Victory Day commemorations. Officials in Moscow say more than 30 drones were intercepted near the capital city.
Max Ninja jumping on the chat saying, whites killing whites. That's what the... Oh, man.
While regional authorities in Bryansk region say 13 civilians, including a child, were injured. President Zelensky has previously hit...
There he is, the comedian, Mr. Zelensky. Sleepy Watcher says, if you ask me, Ukraine has no chance versus Russia, a nuclear superpower. It is not a fair fight from the beginning. Yeah, that's pretty much like population control right there. Not good, not cool, just horrible. Just absolutely bad. Yeah, I don't know how to say your name, but yeah, welcome, welcome. There you go. But how can we find peace? Peace is what we're looking for. And we're also looking for the truth. And we're going live every day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, get so many benefits. Throw in a super chat, help the channel survive.
Hinted that Ukraine could target symbolic sites linked to Victory Day. And now, with Ukrainian drones landing inside NATO countries, the battlefield may be stretching beyond Ukraine.
Hopefully not, right? Some bad things going on over there. January 6 officers sue over Justice Department's 1.8 billion with a B anti-weaponization fund. All you January 6ers, that's not it. That's the NATO thing.
We're following growing backlash over the president's deal with his own Justice Department to set up a nearly $1.8 billion fund compensating people that they say were wrongly targeted by the Biden administration.
Today, 2 officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th sued to block the fund. That's because the Trump administration has not ruled out payouts for January 6th defendants.
It comes after the president, his sons, and their company dropped a lawsuit and other claims against the federal government in exchange for the creation of this fund. But the agreement went even further yesterday. A sweeping one-page addendum said the government will be, quote, forever barred and precluded from pursuing certain legal claims against the president and his family, including anything related to previous tax returns.
Joining us now, NBC News senior justice reporter Ryan Riley. Ryan, there's a lot to dig into here. So let's start with this addendum from yesterday and what it means for Trump and his family.
Yeah, it can have a really significant potential value. You know, some outside estimates have said that this could potentially save Donald Trump $100 million if there was something that was found in the process of reviewing these tax records. But what this was all about originally was this lawsuit over the leaking of his tax return records, which showed he did not pay all that much in taxes overall.
There we go. Sleepy Watcher saying, just sign a treaty confirmed to Russia. NATO will not advance anymore. No nuclear power will allow their border has missiles 5 minutes reaching their capital. Not America, not China. Same with Russia. Yeah. They could. They definitely could find peace, but they obviously don't want it.
Because that was leaked by an IRS contractor that resulted in this litigation. But it was just an odd situation to begin with because you typically don't have this.
Max Ninja says they did sign a peace treaty. Did they? I didn't hear about that.
Situation where the sitting president of the United States is suing a government which he can control in many ways, as we've seen over the past year and a half, and his own officials would be subjected to defending that. They never entered an appearance in the case, which made it possible for them to drop the case, and now this sort of fund all grew out of that.
And Ryan, what more do we know about this lawsuit filed by 2 law enforcement officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th?
Yeah, that includes Harry Dunn, and it's a lawsuit essentially that alleges that they are going to be targeted even more because if the Justice Department is to pay out this money to January 6 rioters. They've gotten a lot of death threats over the years and have been targeted by some of the Capitol rioters themselves. And they say essentially that if money goes to those rioters, that's going to continue, and it's going to sort of incentivize them and encourage people who damaged the Capitol, who attacked the Capitol that day, to continue doing what they're doing. So that's their issue for standing. I think standing is going to be a little bit of a tricky thing here. But what's interesting is it will appear before, or at least this lawsuit is going to appear before a lot of the
fake heroes. What do you mean by that, Hugh?
Very same judges who heard a lot of the evidence in the January 6 cases here in D.C.
And Ryan, I want to hit some of your exclusive reporting that seems to have foreshadowed a conversation that happened months before the creation of this fund. A DOJ official apparently told a GOP ally that big payouts were coming to January 6 defendants. What should we know there?
Yeah, so this was Ed Martin, and the way he sort of really got close to Donald Trump was that he was hosting these fundraisers when Donald Trump was out of office for these January 6 defendants. He was associated with this outside group that was raising money for the families of January 6 defendants. He himself was a Stop the Steal organizer. He actually gave a speech outside of the Capitol on January 5th calling for patriotic Americans to fight till their dying breath to stop the steal. And now he's in this important position within the Justice Department and has been pushing for this settlement. So sort of previewed that to a GOP ally at a hotel here in Washington, and that seems to have been what has come about. But of course, there are all of these outside efforts to try to stop this from coming, and we've seen some opposition from even Republicans on the Hill about this fund, which many opponents are describing as a slush fund for Donald Trump's allies.
Ryan Riley for us. Ryan, thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you never know. Department of Justice promised it, but nope, not happening. I was like curious, what is she holding this pen like that for? I guess it's a new style. Then I saw her transition to the other hand and she was holding it okay, so yeah, she's just playing around with it. So SpaceX is conducting a giant chemical experiment on our atmosphere without realizing. Without realizing or on purpose?
Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and today we're going to be discussing something that kind of sounds like a cynical science fiction story, or basically another episode of Black Mirror. Except that in this case, this is not science fiction, and is happening in real life, and more importantly, right above our heads in the upper atmosphere. But before we discuss the main topic, as you might have heard already, SpaceX, the company that has completely revolutionized how we get to space, is reportedly preparing for an IPO, initial public offering, and extremely likely sometimes super soon, in mid-2026, with analysts suggesting the valuation of approximately...
Alright y'all, I'm sorry, but nature is calling me. I'm gonna be back in like 2 minutes. Oh, nature. Oh, that's the wrong one. Yeah, nature is definitely calling me. Where do I get that link? There it is. Bam. Be back in a sec. Everybody loves Trump.
The only time in 28 years that it went down. Now I got him down 50, 60, 70, and even 80%. And that has a huge impact on healthcare. Listen, go have breakfast. Have a good time.
Thank you.
Have breakfast. Enjoy your sight. You can shoot down there, but it is those. The next time you come here, those columns will be standing even taller.
How long did it take to design the underneath? Like you said, kind of the military was like, what was the architecture?
Yeah, actually, the underneath part's a good question. It's far more complex than the upper. because what you don't see are the floors that are beneath here. And they have very, very important rooms down there, the most important. And this was the one opportunity for the military.
Maybe he's going to let us know what's going on those lower floors. This is what everyone actually wants to know. Come on, POTUS, tell us what's going on.
To do something. You know, they came. Normally I'd build a ballroom on flat land. I wouldn't have any of this. Whatever. It would have been built. I'm very fast. I'm a very fast builder. We're way ahead of schedule here, but we went down 6 stories. So it's actually far more complex than the easy part is up. But again, we have a drone-proof roof. We have it's all sealed, and all of this that you see is totally sealed. And we use it as a drone port. We can have unlimited drones up there, and drones are what's happening right now. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Don't eat too much.
What do you give us? What do you serve?
See, where is it? You're right over here.
We got the boom mic going on over there, right? Very cool. Awesome. Progress. Just so beautiful, man. This is absolutely incredible. Love seeing progress. From the left, from the right, from anywhere. Just progress in general.
Where's the food? Oh, it's over here. Enjoy it. We could put it right on top of the foundation, but I'm afraid somebody might.
Oh, Trumpy.
$2 trillion, which would basically make this the largest IPO in human history. But because this is not a finance channel, I'm not really going to be discussing the IPO or what it even means, mostly because there is a science story here after all. Because in this case, this massive influx of capital isn't just about making Elon Musk just a little bit richer.
Hilarity Bribo says Trump Stein's mind is gone just babbling about the drones. What do you mean? Please explain yourself. Would like to know more. Thank you for the chat. And Random Cliff says nobody likes a liar and grifter. What do you mean? What do you mean? Please let me know.
It's actually intended to fund a project that could change the planet's atmosphere forever. And that's because here the plan is to launch up to 1 million satellites to create orbital data centers and to expand the current Starlink even more. And while having high-speed internet pretty much everywhere, including your flight, sounds incredible, or the idea of having these data centers in space,
yeah, is that good or not good?
Creating artificial intelligence without cluttering the planet also sounds kind of good. Today we're actually...
Donut holes for the press. Orange man bad. In Asia, everyone respects Elon. Everyone kind of loves him from Sleepy Watcher. Yeah, a lot of people in the United States respect Elon too.
We're going to discuss several studies that have now confirmed something I've discussed last year and something that was just a little bit scary. Because it turns out that what comes up must come down after.
But he also has some haters as well, definitely. People drive his cars in the United States and say like, I love his cars, but I just don't like him.
After all. And when it does not just disappear, it sort of pollutes the upper atmosphere in a way we really don't want it to be polluted. With some serious implications for the ozone layer. Alright, so let's discuss some of these new studies and new discoveries in a bit more detail. But first, let's briefly discuss the idea of these mega constellations, because in this case it's not just SpaceX, it's actually several companies, including companies from China, that are now making these big plans without really considering potential consequences. And that's because I guess we're entering the era of mega constellations. And that's despite the fact that for many decades, the maximum number of active satellites in space was always numbered in hundreds. But today, especially in the last 5 years, it's basically over 14,000, with Starlink accounting for more than half of all operational satellites in orbit. But by design, these are not permanent satellites, and they only stay in the low Earth orbit for approximately 5 years. And since the first Starlink satellite was launched in May of 2019, it was actually only in 2024 and 2025 that both scientists and amateur astronomers started to notice something unusual. And actually spaceweather.com created this beautiful image.
9 out of 10 cars is a Tesla? That's wild. So Tesla's doing pretty well. Is it expensive in Shanghai That's news to me. That's wild. He's disrupting the Chinese car companies as well. That's huge.
To illustrate this, this is now known as the Great Starlink Re-Entry Event. Starting in 2024, there's actually been a huge upsurge of re-entering satellites from those first satellites launched in 2019 that have now been retired. And so ever since then, ever since that particular date, this number has actually been going up. And while there are several websites tracking re-entries in real time, and as you can see, pretty much every single day, quite a lot of satellites are basically Starlink. But on average, as of May of 2026, anywhere from 1 to 5 Starlink satellites have now been burning up in the Earth's atmosphere. And well, as you can imagine, at some point, especially in the next 5 years, thousands of them will do the same. And so, excluding other companies like Amazon and those other Chinese companies, here SpaceX alone has already filed paperwork for at least 30,000 more satellites to go up in the next few years. And
that's wild. So in some breaking news, we have two-time NASCAR champ Kyle Busch extinguished after being hospitalized with a severe illness. Severe illness, huh? Very, very interesting. Kyle Busch, only 41 years old. 41. His job must be stressful, right? Two-time Cup champion has died after being hospitalized with a severe illness. We do not know yet the cause, so we shouldn't speculate, right? But the legacy is clear. 63 Cup wins, 2 championships, and one of the most polarizing, talented, competitive drivers NASCAR ever had. Sad, sad story. May his soul rest in peace.
And on top of this, 1 million satellites to act as a distributed computer in the sky, or basically a kind of an AI data network. And this is where we have this one major issue, a problem that might become a serious concern in the next few decades. As these satellites burn up in the atmosphere, they don't just vanish. All of this metal that they're made out of has to go somewhere, and while most of the time it turns from a solid piece of machinery into a cloud of extremely tiny metallic vapors.
Gregory Stevens says, how do you go from a sinus infection? Is that what happened? My goodness.
And aerosol particles. Vapor and particles that stays in the upper atmosphere for possibly up to 10 years. And it's really only because of recent studies from 2023 and 2024 that scientists finally started to realize there might be a serious problem here. Here we're essentially conducting a giant uncontrolled chemical experiment on our own atmosphere. And well, one of the first studies on this was in September of 2023. Here, a study led by Dan Murphy and his team at NOAA actually flew a specialized aircraft into the stratosphere, where they discovered that 10% of all sulfuric acid particles in the atmosphere already contained a lot of metals from spacecraft.
Oi, how you doing, buddy?
With the prediction being that as these mega constellations grow, this could rise to...
Got some smoke in the air, huh? All right, so this is Trump saying that Netanyahu will do whatever I want him to do, allegedly. Let's see if this is true or not. Oh, this one's not going to play. All right.
50% over time, with the biggest concern in this case being aluminium oxide. And by the way, most Starlink satellites are approximately 60% aluminium. And that's
Sleepy Watcher jumping on the chat saying, trust me, Tesla software is supreme compared to the rest of China EVs. That's news to me. I always thought China electronic vehicles were like extremely good. But there you go. Shows how much I know about this stuff.
That's because when they burn up, they do create nanoparticles of aluminium oxide, which then acts as a catalyst for, drumroll, ozone depletion. So once again, we have something that potentially threatens the ozone layer once again. Now, we've actually discussed this in a lot of details in the video in the description that was published last year, but in a nutshell, it was discovered that these particles speed up chemical reactions quite dramatically by helping chlorine atoms destroy ozone molecules over time. And those scientists have worked really hard to ban CFCs back in the 80s because they were discovered to also do the same. Now we might be accidentally creating a new problem that, unlike CFCs, might be even more difficult to solve because a lot of those satellites are already up there. But the unnerving part in this case is this somewhat unusual delay. And that's because these particles are released extremely high up in the atmosphere, and it would actually take them about 20 to maybe 30 years to slowly drift down to the level where the ozone layer actually sits, which essentially implies that satellites burning up right now will not have their full impact until sometimes in 2040s or 20 years from today. And because millions of satellites are now planned for launch, by the time they're finished, it might be already too late to stop the reaction. But once again,
we got Sleepy Watcher jumping on the chat saying China EV is cheap, but if we were talking to software, safety and self-driving, Tesla wins 10 out of 10 every single time. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's kind of like, this video of Larry Holmes, you know. Larry Holmes is a big, strong guy. Looks very scary. You would just imagine, like, he would beat anyone up, like anyone. And we're gonna see here that if you don't know how to fight or throw a punch, that's not actually accurate.
Pop the.
This guy's just
Larry,
so
you gotta
fast.
punch. You gotta punch. Punch.
He's
Don't be
moving
too
around.
picky. Punch.
Loses
Ooh,
his
he's
head.
getting scared. Punch, Larry. Larry, come on. You got 30 seconds.
Larry's an incredible athlete.
Come on.
You know? Look at him.
Don't be too picky. Don't be too picky. Just throw
But
him.
nope, it's not working. Can't get the guy.
Sweet. Oh, shit.
Like, Larry didn't hit him at all. And that's the thing with electronic vehicles. If you're not good, you just don't know what you're doing. Can't hit the target market audience. You gotta be good.
and we discussed this last year. Now we have
Ace Tone jumping in the chat saying, Larry Wheels, not Larry Holmes. That's right, dude. That is absolutely right. We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat.
Did anyone drop a super chat or become member yet?
No, not yet, not yet.
Please support this channel, drop a super chat, and become a member.
Yeah, girl. So we can bring out Veronica. That's right. We got Hugh saying his girl left him after that. Probably, dude. You never know.
a major confirmation from another study. This is actually the most recent study from 2026, and this was the measurement of lithium plumes from the uncontrolled reentry of Falcon 9 rockets. Okay, so not really related to satellites, but
that is, says satellites equal helium weather balloons. Did not know that. Do they have the ability to change the weather?
still related to massive numbers of launches that SpaceX and other companies are planning. And so in this case, there was a discarded Falcon 9 rocket that re-entered the atmosphere over Europe. And because it was tracked quite actively, researchers in Germany decided to track it with additional systems. And so they actually used a high-tech laser system referred to as LiDAR that detected a sudden massive spike of lithium at an altitude of 96 kilometers or 60 miles. In this case, it was approximately 10 times the natural background level. And while having measured this by using atmospheric models, they confirmed that all of this came from this very specific SpaceX rocket. But why does this matter? Well, lithium is not something that naturally exists in the high amounts in the upper atmosphere. So things like meteors, for example, usually bring in things like iron and magnesium. But our satellites and of course various rocket leftovers, are full of various exotic materials, including aluminium alloys and various metals that can, in theory, once again affect the ozone layer. And so even a single Falcon 9 upper stage contains approximately 30 kilograms of lithium, which though might not sound like a lot, is actually equivalent to hundreds of years of natural lithium influx. And that's because Earth usually only receives 80 grams per day. Here we're talking about 30 kilograms or approximately 66 pounds. And that of course introduces a completely new problem nobody actually considered before.
Pollution from space hitting the atmosphere from the top and from the bottom. My goodness.
On one level, this is...
That's tough. That's a tough one right there. What's going on, Tucker? What's going on, Tucker? What can you teach us? We gotta learn something from Mr. Tucker.
It's the saddest moment in a long time. It's not just the death of Thomas Massey's immediate political career, which may be resurrected, one never knows.
You guys fans of Massey? Any W's in the chat for Massey? Thomas Massey.
It's obviously the death of MAGA, whatever that was, but it's also, of course, the end of the Republican Party. The Republican Party of right now bears absolutely no resemblance to the Republican Party we thought we had just elected less than a year and a half ago. None at all. And so that's not all bad. And it's not bad because the one thing we know is that nothing will be the same.
Who's that? Who's that right there? Maybe has some type of effect on politics. Oh, you think that guy talking about the ozone layer? Yeah. Never know. You never know.
Same after this. This is too much. They went too far. We now know how the system actually works. And no, it's not a democratic system. It bears no resemblance to a democratic system. A small number of people who are more concerned about a foreign country than our country decide who gets elected. No, that's not a hateful conspiracy theory. That's a demonstrable fact that they admit. So it's on the basis of that that we can proceed. And by that, I mean the truth. What people whispered about, those crazies on the internet, has now been proven for everyone to see. Nothing will ever be the same again. And you got to think it's going to be a little better because there will be actual reform. We have gone too far. And so whatever comes next, whether it's in the Republican Party or outside it, is likely to be much more honest and direct and less ashamed.
And we got Dumbest POTUS in American History by Sandra. Please let me know. What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Do you think Trump is the dumbest POTUS, or are you talking about Tucker over here? What do you think? Do you think Tucker would be a good president? A lot of people are talking about Tucker being president. If he was president, I think that would be kind of fascinating, honestly. I don't know if there's a better political commentator than Tucker Carlson. His arguments are just absolutely incredible. I've been searching for a long time, just a long time, to hear his counter arguments fail. And I haven't heard many. Actually, I haven't heard any. So if you guys have any links of Tucker Carlson failing, let me know. But he's just so good with all of his arguments. We got Quantum of Solace saying, you don't thonk. I think you try to say think. Let me know. Nothing Tucker says seems to be as potent as he claims. There you go. That's also a valid point right there. You know, we don't know. It's all hearsay for the most part, right? Colorado Gamer says Moses, a Hebrew Jew, had his entire existence erased from Egypt's history to the point where even Google will argue whether he was even a person and even existed. Is that true? Mike saying Trump is easily the dumbest POTUS in history, ? Have you not listened to the man speak? He's got a 4th grade vocabulary. Oi Oi says the Tucker Carlson always has been and will always be controlled by opposition, otherwise known as a cuck. I've been hearing Tucker Carlson being controlled by the opposition. Controlled opposition for quite some time recently, a lot more, and you could be right. I am, that is maybe with some sarcasm, saying yeah, he's stupid and yet he's got the whole world watching his every move. There you go.
Much more willing to tell the truth, as uncomfortable as it may.
Bam. Island Man's little weird house overlooking the ocean.
Make some people, because the truth is always worth telling, and a politics based on anything but the truth is always poisonous. So yes, this is a low point. Is it the end point? Not at all. It's the beginning, maybe of something great.
Just the beginning.
Decide.
There you go. Just the beginning. What do you guys think? Is MVP making a big difference with MMA? It seems like they're paying their fighters much more. You know, did you guys watch the fights? Did you like the fights? We got Ronda Rousey. Talk to us, girl. What's going on?
Comments you'll have to say on this one, but obviously so much of the talk building up to this one was on fighter compensation and just the revenue split. And then you had even told me that it was, you know, a goal of yours to...
Mike making an argument saying the world is watching because as president, everything he does affects the world, and no president has made so many tsunamis for the world to deal with. Pretty good point, Mike. One thing I would like to say is when Biden was president, did you watch him on the news too often? Did he have as many eyeballs as Trump has? I'm just playing devil's advocate over here. All right, Hugh, good to see you, buddy. Until next time. So, yeah, you know, something to consider. Did Biden have as many eyes on him as POTUS does?
To set new standards, you know, for women's MMA and women's combat sports. What can you say about your compensation for this fight? And the number came out from the...
Good point. Joe Jardy says, I love the fact at least Tucker can admit when he is wrong about something and can apologize. There you go. Yeah. Definitely shows good attributes about a man, for sure. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want.
The California State Athletic Commission, but we don't know if that's, you know, all of it or a portion of it. What can you say about your compensation for this?
My compensation? Well, I was
talking about compensation. There you go. Sleepy Watcher. Shout out to Ronda Rousey, my favorite. I'm a judo guy. To Ninth Dan. Oh, is that the Ninth Planet Dan? The brunette dude? That dude's hilarious. Yeah, she is amazing.
compensated not just for my fighting services, you know. I also was promoting this event as well. So I think it's literally on the contract that I'm not supposed to tell people, but I'm very, you know, I'm very happy and very grateful, and you know, me and my husband are gonna go house shopping in Hawaii after this.
There you go. So she's making quite a bit of money over there at the MVP promotions. One thing that I heard about the MVP promotions compared to UFC is all of the top fights were like mismatches. You know, like Nagano fought this no-name dude, just beat him allegedly too easily. Ronda Rousey, her fight lasted 17 seconds. And then Nick Diaz, his fight, and he got stopped by Mike Perry. Mike Perry just opened up his skin with his elbow, you know, just made that fight stop extremely quickly. And so they're saying like MVP is like a good place for, you know, to make money if you're on the, if you got a bigger, if you got a lesser opponent than you know, so yeah, something to consider.
And then last thing, you know, you said your phone was going off. I'm very curious. Are any of those from Dana White? Did you hear from Dana White since
He did send me a text this morning. He sent me a
Rhonda, you got to love her in the chat if you're watching. Dean Salvatore loves you. There you go. And then we got Sandra on the opposite side of the spectrum saying this woman's arrogance is what extinguished her career. So done with her and her shady attitude. There you go. There you go. And Sandra agrees with Strickland. Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland wasn't a fan of what she said when she lost her fight and was sad and was thinking about extinguishing herself. He's like, what are you talking about, woman? You're rich. You got a bunch of money. You're attractive. Almost every single female on earth wants to be with you, and you're saying you want to extinguish yourself? Come on, girl. Wake up. Wake up. So there you go. It's all about perspective, right?
a text and he said good luck, and you know that he hopes me and Gina kill it, and I was just told.
Did you see her body? Her body, she looks yoked, and a lot of people in the wrestling, they do you know, steroids and those types of things. So I don't know what she looks like, but for men, usually like men get female attributes and then females get male attributes, you know. So maybe she's on the juice. You never know. Is Ronda on the juice? What do you think, chat?
About like how much it meant to me to hear that from him, and yeah, he's been an incredible friend to me, and I'm here because of him, and I am eternally grateful, and I really appreciate him, like, you know, giving me his blessing to go out and do this on my own.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
But what a great
Like, how
speaker.
much
She sold that fight so well. Like, I was hyped to see her. I was so hyped to see her. She learned so much from the WWE. Yeah, thank you, Dean. I appreciate it. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. And the easiest way to like is just to double tap on that screen if you're on your mobile device. Yeah. Anything that comes out of the Iranian regime is suspect. All right. Let's see what's going on. Is POTUS going to talk to us?
Moments ago, President Trump making new remarks on Iran. Jackie Heinrich asking him where things stand right now.
Right on the borderline, believe me. If we don't get the right answers, it goes very quickly. We're all ready to go. We have to get the right answers. It would have to be a complete 100% good answers. And if we do...
Joe Reed says she learned how to fake a match in the WWE, talking about Ronda Rousey. Possible, buddy. Possible. You never know. A lot of people think those are fake. But whenever the damage is too much, you're like, oh, okay, it's not fake. Like, I think the Tyson-Jake Paul fight, or Logan Paul, one of the Paul brothers, I think that fight was fake. They paid Tyson not to hurt him. And I think Anthony Joshua versus one of that Paul guy, I think that was real because he broke his jaw. He probably didn't follow the rules and didn't get his bonus for not hurting him too much. I'm just trying to tell you all the truth, you know.
We save a lot of time, energy, and lives, most importantly.
Meantime, dramatic new video of Marines boarding an Iranian-flagged tanker that CENTCOM says is suspected of attempting to violate the U.S. blockade in the Gulf of Oman. Let's bring in retired Vice Admiral Marc Fox. His nearly 40-year career in the Navy includes his service as commander of U.S. Naval Forces Central Command. Admiral, it's great to have you on the show, as always. You think the president should restart military activities, reopen the Strait of Hormuz? I'm just curious, sir, how does that work exactly?
Well, you know, this president is unconventional, he's unorthodox, and he's unpredictable. And that's one of his strengths right now. I think he's been able to keep people off balance. I do think, personally, that there's no way in the world that we can accomplish all of our objectives in the region without having further combat actions. I just don't see how it can happen. But I've been wrong before. We'll see. The Strait of Hormuz actually is not closed. It's a matter of whether or not you want to take the risk to go through there. But we need to have full and open freedom of navigation very soon here so that we can allow the rest of the world to benefit from the energy that flows from that part of the world.
You talk about unpredictable. I want to put this up on the screen. This is the Iranian parliament speaker, Galibaf, on Telegram today. He writes the following here. Our powerful military forces have used the opportunity of the ceasefire in the best possible way to rebuild our military strength. And with the grace of God and the support of the people today, they are so prepared that they will surprise the enemy and will certainly regret attacking Iran. It sounds like they're almost taunting the United States.
It's so weird. Some people say, oh yeah, Iran is definitely winning. Some people are saying, no, Iran is definitely losing. How do we know the truth? What do you guys think? How do we actually know the truth?
United States, sir, what do you think about that comment?
Well, anything that comes out of the regime, the government of Iran is suspect.
Jamie, how you doing?
They're playing for time. They're trying to create as much opportunity for them to try to rebuild. Militarily, they have no capability. They have very, very limited ability to influence anything. At the same time, they do have some residual capability in small boats and with drones and so forth, which takes me back to I don't see how we can go forward and accomplish all of our stated objectives without having some return to full
That is says more fights, sports, various live events are all rigged. There's too much money flowing through them not to be. Yeah, with the gambling and all those types of things. Could be true. I had a friend who said even World Cup, FIFA, World Cup's coming up, so I bring it up, is set up. And another buddy of mine who's ex-national U.S. soccer player says he doesn't know anything of it, and he played against other national teams. He said they would never, ever, lose a game or win a game for some extra money. And he was actually on the pitch and professional player for the U.S. national team, which is a big deal. So that's from two different perspectives, I think what's evident in club games, there is gambling and there is players on the team who throw the game and they've been caught because they've done it, and along with referees and stuff like that. So it's here and there.
Combat operations.
Yeah, I'm also kind of curious because there's been a lot of talk about Cargyle and what happens. I mean, does it include this strategy going after Cargyle and holding it at least? Maybe not destroying the oil wells, but holding it. And how long?
Oh, we got Sleepy Watcher with 6MYR. Thank you so much. We got to bring Veronica all up in the chat. Come here, Veronica. Tell Sleepy Watcher how much you love him.
Thank you for your support. I love you. Wishing you and your family the best.
There you go. Veronica loves you, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it. Saying gas is killing me in Asia. How's everyone's situation? Yeah, how is everybody's situation with gas? Let's get an answer there. Gas has gone up quite a bit. Not gonna lie.
How long would that campaign last? I mean, does the American population have the patience for something like that?
I personally wouldn't recommend that we go and take Cargyle. We can certainly disable their ability to load oil. Our campaign, the combat campaign that we had before, very carefully avoided certain target sets, which includes the electrical grid, their telecommunications, a lot of the things that we would call dual use. So there are certainly a number of other things that we are capable of striking, which are legitimate military targets. I would not recommend that
Iron Moth, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. We got Oi Oi jumping in on the chat. There you go, buddy. Saying, James Barry, you have some obozo on your face. Veronica, come back here. Goodness gracious, tell Oi Oi how much you love him.
Thank you for your support. I love you. Wishing you and your family the best.
Oh my gosh, there you go, Veronica. Everybody loves you, Veronica. Veronica loves Oi Oi. Go on and do your push-ups, Veronica. Iron Moth, how you doing? How you doing in Norway? How is oil in Norway? How much does your gas cost now compared to before? And happy to have you on, Iron Moth. By the way, we're going live every single day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, become a member. Thank you for your support. I love you. The Lord loves you.
That we go and take Cargyle. There are other options. There are other places that we can go that will create difficulties for the Iranians. I would not, though, plan or recommend that we take Cargyle. Cargyle is just a big industrial place that's just off the coast. It's not that far away. So if we took it, then there would be, constant opportunity for them to take pot shots at us from the shore.
Yeah, I wanted to pose this to you lastly. This is from the Institute for the Study of War, saying, quote, other factors such as, but not limited to, a proven threat to regime stability could trigger a rethink among Iranian leaders about their negotiation positions. Iranian leaders have proven that they care little for the economic well-being of the Iranian people beyond the impact the economic well-being of the people has on the regime. I mean, it's one of those things, we kind of know this all along, sir, but it's worth restating that, you know, there's not a lot of concern for what's happened to the citizens, but there's a big concern about the IRGC and the Basij and so on and so forth.
Yeah, the Iranian regime has not changed their stripes. What I would expect if we go back into combat operations is that there would be other opportunities. I think.
And there you go, Sleepy Watcher. We got an answer from somebody named Irann Moff in Norway saying, it's a lot cheaper. We don't start wars with Iran for no reason. There you go. Got a little jab towards the USA, buddy. Cool. Good to hear your perspective from Norway. Norway is a beautiful country. My goodness. Love that place. There's a restaurant there called XEF, Jeff, and it's in Oslo, or just like the southwest of Oslo. And it's a Michelin rated restaurant, and there's one of the best chefs over there. Surprisingly, and I think he's Spanish, a Spanish dude. Borja Martino. Really, really good chef. If you're in Norway, go check him out. And Irann Moff, I have a Discord. It's on my YouTube. If you join it, it would be cool to chat with you, buddy, about Norway. Norway's really cool. And oi, I think it says next time bring a friend. I think he's talking about Veronica. Veronica, you got to bring a friend over here next time, girl. What's going on?
In particular, the Mossad has penetrated the Iranian.
Yeah, Norway is very, very expensive, dude.
Regime fairly significantly. When you think about the capability that was demonstrated at the very beginning of the early campaign back in late February, early March, in which, you know, dozens of Iranian leaders were killed in the opening minutes. That's some remarkable capability, and I would fully expect that if we resumed combat operations, those people would also be in that list.
Vice Admiral Mark Fox, thank you, sir. We appreciate your time as always.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Some residual.
We got Sleepy Watcher saying, been there once visiting a friend. Lucky I have instant noodles with me. Yeah, pretty important. Pretty important if you're in Norway, right? Joe Jarrett never tried that. Lee84, how you doing, buddy? Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. Irann Moff, I can say a Norwegian speak for all the people. F off America. We don't want you anymore. You like the weird uncle is creep. There you go. There you go, Irann Moff. Thanks for letting us know how you feel. Just curious, what is your age, and are you a male or a female? Would like to know just to know, you know, about the idea of what certain people think, and whether you're a male or female with those ideas. Thank you for the chat. And we got a rebuttal by I Am That Is. Nice to know that you want us to get effed, but we don't care what you think. 20 years old, a man. Okay, cool. Would you be happier if Biden was president, or if Kamala Harris was president? Or do you like Trump or dislike Trump? Irann Moff. We got Ilhan Omar rips the DOJ investigation for alleged immigration fraud. All right, let's see what's going on.
So I wanted to ask you about
when did she start wearing
Vice President Vance's press conference yesterday. He said that the Department of Justice is looking into allegations against you about immigration fraud. To that you say what?
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, they've been at it since like Trump's first administration, and you know, as I always say, if they had something, they would have already shown their cards.
So what do you think about this like brother marriage allegation that's continuing to persist?
Oh, she's hiding behind the elevator door. That moment, he starts to ask about that brother thing.
It's just
Okay.
It's just a very bigoted lie. It's disgusting.
Bigoted lie, disgusting. Got always saying, Iron Moth, next time you have a war, remember your comment. Us Americans will be drinking scotch and watching you on TV, getting your arse geeked. Iron Moth says, can you please send Trump? Oh, man. That's POTUS you're talking about, buddy. A lot of people like Trump. A lot of people dislike Trump. What a polarizing man. Entertaining speaker. And is America better since he's in office?
And, you know, to make a huge allegation like that for 10 years, without proving any of it is just disturbing that there's still so many people who want to believe in something so disgusting.
So how are you planning to fight against it?
Well, there's nothing to fight against. Nothing's happening. It's all fake.
Would you cooperate with an investigation if the DOJ decides to investigate you? You would cooperate?
Of course.
Are there any maybe documents that you would turn over? I know you're saying that this is all baseless.
We got Sleepy Watcher saying, actually in Asia, not much has changed since the Iran war except the gas price. Business is booming. Everything as usual. Economy is good. At least no war closing any soon. There you go. Mandy says, can America please make Australia a state? We have uranium and precious metals and oil. We be done for it. Down for it, maybe. Oh, maybe. You never know. POTUS, if you're watching, Mandy's making a request. But I'm happy that business is booming in Asia.
But just to clear your name, is there anything that you would turn over?
Yeah,
Got
there's
it.
nothing to clear because I haven't done anything criminal. Well, as I've said, I mean.
Oh, she hasn't done anything criminal. Yeah, she doesn't commit any crimes, right? Ilhan Omar, Mrs. World War 11. Oh my gosh.
If I had done something criminal, it wouldn't take them this long to continue to keep this story alive without doing anything. And I think it gives more to the idea that this is just a made-up lie because you do not investigate someone for 10 years and not come up with anything.
So then why do you think it's still being talked about?
Because these people are disgusting. They believe in weird, creepy things, and that's why they want to believe in this weird.
And
that's all I will say.
No.
People like those weird things, you know? All right. What type of website has she been going on?
Oh, definitely. Why do you think, I guess, that you're being targeted then? It's
because they're racist.
We're always saying Trump is all about getting rid of a violent cult that is trying to NKS. You know nothing about Iran, buddy. There you go.
They're xenophobic. I just happen to be Muslim, and I don't think you're allowed to continue from there. But,
okay. Understood.
Yeah, I mean, they're just disgusting, bigoted people, and that's...
Okay.
Does she have a septum piercing? What? We got to see this. What do you guys think? Does she? She does not have a septum piercing, but right there it looks like it, dude. What in the world? Doesn't it look like she has a septum piercing?
That's all I gotta say.
All right.
She definitely has a septum piercing.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's a septum piercing, man. Either a septum piercing or a booger. I don't know, but she does have a face that only a 2x4 could love. What's a 2x4? Never mind. Are you talking about building material? Yeah. She's a wild lady. Allegedly, She had $30 million in her bank account, and then the year later she got caught for fraud or husband or something like that, and she had $100,000 in her bank account. So went from $30 million to $100,000, which is like super duper shady. Yeah. Allegedly, you know. I don't want to make things up, but that's from what I have gathered. Speaking of Asia, President Xi doesn't want Trump to talk to Taiwan. Wonder why, right? We'll see what's happening.
Did anyone drop a super chat or become member yet?
Oh, we got some super chats. Yeah, girl, we got
Please
some
support this channel, drop a super chat, and become a member.
Okay, girl. Okay, yeah, you heard her. Become a member, drop a super chat, like the channel. Bring out Veronica. All right, y'all. Let's see what's happening with China opposing direct U.S.-Taiwan talks. Warns it would break decades of diplomatic protocol. All right.
China's foreign ministry says it's against any official exchanges between Washington and Taipei. The comments come just days after Donald Trump's visit to China. On Wednesday, he said he could talk to the Taiwanese president about a potential arms deal, something no U.S. president.
Does Ilhan Omar have an OF? Oh my gosh, dude. Oh man. I don't know if I'd want to see that. I don't know. Maybe I would just for research purposes. Lumberlock saying Xi is a big fan of Trump in China. Everyone loves Trump. There you go. Gator Chris says, I want to answer that poll yes, but I don't think it will happen. Yeah. We don't know. We'll publish the poll at the very end and then check back in 5 years or 1 year or 5 days, whenever something happens. And we'll have it there. And we'll see how accurate we are in the chat, because we are developing the best chat in the world.
Has done directly since 1979.
Iron Moff says, you don't read Twitch, you only YouTube. No, I read Twitch. I just had a conversation with you, man.
Do you have any plans to call President Lai of Taiwan before you make a decision on the weapons package?
Well, I'll speak to him. I speak to everybody. We have that situation.
He'll speak to everybody. Is everybody like that? What a good man, right?
Very well in hand. We had a great meeting with President Xi.
Says, anyone see how Trump was treated compared to Obama in China? I did not see. Is there a big difference there?
It was amazing, actually. It was amazing. Many of you were there. We'll work on the Taiwan problem.
And Al Jazeera's Katrina Yu joins us live from Beijing. Katrina, what reactions have you seen to this comment from Trump?
Well, China's certainly not happy about it. We heard, as you mentioned, China's foreign ministry making a strong comment just this afternoon, saying that China firmly opposes any official interactions between the U.S. and Taiwan, which it calls a province of China, as well as any weapon sales. And it's urging the U.S. to handle the Taiwan question prudently and avoid sending the wrong signal to what it...
Says they rolled out the red carpet and the world is for Trump. Obama didn't get anything like that. There you go. Poll is a no, very sad from Oi Oi. I guess that question could have been better. Like, this is, will anyone from the Island Man files be prosecuted in the USA? Not, would you want people from the Island Man files to be prosecuted? I think that would render different answers. Sleepy Watcher says Taiwan is going to be the next Ukraine. Hopefully not, man. If China takes Taiwan, that's bad news for the USA, that's for sure.
It says are separatist
pro-independence
forces for Taiwan. Now, this, if it goes ahead, would be Trump breaking a long-held tradition of not having official contact between the leaders of Taipei and Washington. There hasn't been any official contact since...
I am, that is, says, give it time, arrests will happen.
1979, and that was the year that Washington transferred official diplomatic relations away from Taipei to Beijing. Now, interestingly, Trump has spoken to a former Taiwanese leader, that is Tsai Ing-wen, but when he spoke to her, it wasn't in a presidential capacity. He was still campaigning, and even then, China got...
I always saw it. And says Obama was treated like a toilet bowl cleaner by China.
angry about that, and it lodged a formal complaint against this. And the last time we had any official, I think, communication really notably was when the former House Speaker of the US, Nancy Pelosi, visited Taiwan in 2022 in August. It was just a 2-day visit, but that event sparked huge tensions.
Is that where she got that NVIDIA stuff
between the two countries? China started a military escalation.
NVIDIA insider information.
A military exercise escalation, and tensions really reached rock bottom. So I think China is serious about not wanting to see any sort of communication between Washington and Taipei.
That's Al Jazeera's Katrina Yu reporting live from Beijing. Thank you.
Beijing. Iran's uranium stockpile becomes a central obstacle in high-stakes U.S. nuclear talks. Okay.
At the center of nuclear talks between Washington and Tehran sits a single defining question. What happens to Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium? The United States wants it gone. Iran insists it has the right to keep enriching. With roughly 440 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, enough to potentially fuel several nuclear weapons if further processed, the stakes could hardly be higher. Uranium, as it comes out of the ground, is a mixture of isotopes. The one that matters the most is uranium-235, the isotope that breaks apart easily enough to sustain a chain reaction. In natural ore, it makes up just 0.7% of the total. Enrichment is the process of increasing that concentration. For civilian reactors, you need 3 to 5%. A nuclear weapon requires around 90. Iran is enriching
90%. And in ore, it comes in 0.7%. That's a lot. That's a big purification process right there, buddy. We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want.
To 60, well above any civilian requirement and uncomfortably close to weapons grade.
For a nuclear weapon, we're talking about closer to 90% uranium-235. And there are sort of applications in between that. So, for instance, Iran's research reactor takes nuclear fuel that's enriched to about 20% uranium-235. Medical isotopes kind of take other percentages of uranium-235, but that's what enrichment is. It's basically increasing the percentage of uranium-235, the fissile isotope that can sustain a chain reaction within the uranium.
Iran has been enriching using centrifuges, tubes that spin at extraordinary speeds, linked together in cascades, gradually separating the useful isotope from the rest. The 2015 nuclear deal was designed to cap that capability. Since the US withdrew, Iran has dismantled those restrictions, and international inspectors have lost significant access to monitor what is happening inside its facilities. If a deal is struck, removing the material is another challenge entirely. Highly enriched uranium cannot simply be loaded onto a truck. It requires specialized, smaller containers because concentrating too much in one place risks an uncontrolled...
Darcy, how you doing? Good to see you. Saying, what's going on with Isle of Man? What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think's going on? Sleepy Watcher says there is only one reason China will reclaim Taiwan Island. which is Republic of China, also known as Taiwan, changed their constitution declaring independence. The People's Republic of China will 100% missile flying. There you go.
Controlled criticality event. Everything must be sealed, padded and transported by vehicles built for the purpose in a country that has just been struck by military action.
So in practice, it would be quite a complicated operation.
So allegedly, the Isle of Man is trending for two totally different worlds colliding. Tyson Fury family wedding drama on one side and TT death-defying motorcycle culture on the other. Tiny island, huge headlines, celebrity, tradition, speed, money, and public judgment all crashing into the same place. Oh, you're talking about Island Man. Yeah, Island Man. You haven't heard of the Island Man files?
That would take at least days, if not longer. I mean, first they'd have to figure out where that uranium actually is, because we're not 100% sure where the material is or what state it's in, frankly. Then they would have to secure that material. Again, depending on what state it's in, they'd have to move it into some kind of containers that would be safe for transport of that uranium out of Iran. Again, they might have to transport it by land. They might try to airlift it, but you're doing this in a war zone. So an already complicated operation would become quite dangerous.
President Trump has said the United States would take possession of the material. Iran has not agreed. The technical challenge alone is enormous before you even factor in the politics.
It's just so hard for them to do all that with the uranium. And what's the real reason? That's just what this inspires me to ask, is what is the actual real reason? There's got to be a real reason. What do you think, Chad? What's the real reason this Iran thing's happening? That's what I want to know. China and Russia sign agreements strengthening their ties after Xi Putin meeting.
Vladimir Putin is in China for meetings with China's President Xi Jinping just days after President Trump wrapped up his visit to the country.
The leaders held those talks.
Says, I think Taiwan can hold their own against China for the simple fact that, does China own a fleet of Gundams like Taiwan does? I think not. That's what you're talking about. Mr. Darcy says petrodollar. All right, that makes sense. That's the reason Iran and USA is happening. Sleepy Watcher says, trust me, both China, they prefer the situation to remain the same until either side gives up and chooses unification peacefully. War burns money and destroys the economy.
Focusing on energy, trade, and technology. More than 20 agreements were signed after
Kung Fu Frog jumping on the chat saying Panama, Venezuela, Iran control global energy transactions and petrodollar fortifies U.S. Treasuries, supports a $39 trillion debt bomb. Makes sense. Thank you, Kung Fu Frogs. Definitely. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, and become part of the best chat in the world, if not the best chat already.
After both men praised their close ties, later today they're going to sit down over tea to discuss geopolitical matters like Ukraine, Iran, and the U.S.
NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer joins us now from Beijing. Janice, good morning. So first off, from an optics standpoint, we want to talk about the welcome ceremony here because our viewers may remember we brought it live when President Trump was there. Walk us through how President Putin's welcome compared to President Trump. Did anything stand out to you there that might tell us how both men are viewed in China?
Well, Savannah, in terms of staging, China appeared to want to give elaborate welcomes to both leaders, though they are different kinds of partners to Beijing. Vladimir Putin had the red carpet at the airport. He was greeted.
It's very interesting. When they're walking, his right arm isn't moving as much and his left arm isn't moving as much, but their wider arm is wiggling a lot.
By Wang Yi, he's China's top diplomat. And at the Great Hall, we saw the same honor guard and same joyful children who welcomed President Trump, but waving Russian flags this time. Overall, the welcome for Putin, though, seemed a bit less theatrical. It lacked the grandeur that Xi had choreographed for President Trump's visit. Putin and Xi are old friends. They've met over 40 times, so there's really little reason for Xi to want to impress him. Plus, the current dynamics of the China-Russia relationship have Putin as the subordinate, still a key strategic partner, whereas the U.S. remains a competitor. But in both cases, with
Mr. Darcy says China is working behind the scenes to get any advantage it can. Yeah. Being very political, finding every little advantage. Definitely. You know, one thing I was thinking about is they have all those games, like those little advertisement games that you play. And a lot of them, I think they come from Asia. I should double check, but like they're very interesting. They're kind of thought-provoking and they make your brain think in a certain way, which is good for life. You know, it helps you solve problems, and it's not the traditional mind-numbing games that I see a lot of Americans have, I guess. So I think I got to double check on that. But do you guys know which ones I'm talking about? Where like there's like a funnel, and then you have to pull a string, and then like the gold coins fall down. But if you pull the wrong pins, then the gold doesn't go to the person that it's supposed to go to like buy a new window or to buy a new bed or to buy a new fireplace. And those are kind of things where it's like, okay, yeah, earn money to make your house better so you guys can survive. You know, it's like, I think they just have like the Asian style of, or the other one where like some guy has an axe and he goes like in a circle and he cuts trees, and then he brings the wood back, and then he sells the wood and he gets money. Then he goes back out and he cuts more trees, and then you can get like a cow, and then you can milk the cow, and then you can get like chickens, and you can sell the chicken eggs. I don't know if you guys have seen those video games. They're mobile games. They're little advertisements, and I'm like, huh. It makes you think in a certain way, like, what about we gamify education, and we make the American games really good for our youth, you know, to have a great future.
President Trump and Russia's President Putin, Xi Jinping is center stage, both as confident host and the central balancing figure for these important relationships. Joe and Savannah.
Janice, we know the two countries had been in talks over a massive pipeline project that would deliver Russian gas to China. Where do things stand with that? And keeping in mind the Chinese-American summit was short on deals, what more can you tell us about some of the agreements that were signed today?
Power of Siberia 2 is a massive
Actually, I have that game. I know which one it is. I didn't play it. This one's called Whiteout Survival. I'll show you a little advertisement of it. I'm not saying, but I looked it up and I was like, hey, is it safe to put on my phone? It's like, it's safe if you get it from the Apple Store, but I can't tell you like what type of data they take from you. So that's the only thing I'm like, I'd rather not if they're going to be taking data from me for no reason. I don't know if you guys have seen this game, but yeah, Whiteout Survival. me just grab one of these.
Hey Chiefs, welcome back to Whiteout Survival. Today I'm bringing you an essential guide to castle battles. I'll show you exactly how to dominate these intense 6-hour battles and claim victory.
Okay, whatever, we're not watching
gas pipeline that Russia desperately wants to build into China. Putin has pushed hard for this because Russia has lost so much of the European gas market over the Ukraine war. But she's reluctant to go all in, to not have China too...
We got Ball Striker. Bandito, how you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Putin was former KGB. He always kept his right arm close to his weapon when walking. The habit has stuck with him. Ah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. All right, all right.
reliant on Russian energy. They announced a general understanding, but no final agreement on cost or time.
RTS games. Korean is the best at it. From Sleepy Watcher. All right.
And that reveals a bit about the balance of power here. Russia needs China more than China needs Russia. What Xi and Putin did announce was more energy trade. They're going to use more Chinese yuan instead of dollars. And they had a joint statement opposing what they call American dominance. So really, it's the deepening of an already very
RTS stands for real-time strategy.
close relationship. Joe.
Janice, we mentioned that later today it's expected they'll discuss Ukraine, Iran, the U.S. What are we expecting to come of those conversations?
Well, what Xi and Putin want, what binds them, is a world less dominated by the United States. And that was the central message today. Talks focused on the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. Both are focused on instability in the Middle East because China needs that Gulf oil and Russia benefits from having energy markets.
Kung Fu Frog jumping on the chat saying China imports 80% petroleum. Energy costs go up, then Chinese factories, industries costs go up, cannot compete in the current market. America can sustain the hit. China cannot. China is scared. That makes a lot of sense because China also works on such small profit margins as well. Very, very true. And we got Cast Blast 1989 saying losers. Who are you talking about, buddy? Please let me know what you're trying to say.
Staying tight. Xi and Putin called for a, quote, complete cessation of hostilities in the Middle East, and they warned it was unacceptable for fighting to resume. Xi also said that hegemony was running rampant in the world, and that was a veiled swipe at the U.S., even if Xi is courting Trump. But strategically, the summit shows a larger reality, that China is looking more like the senior partner in the relationship, while Russia is becoming more dependent on Beijing, economically, strategically, and for legitimacy. And these back-to-back visits show a real balancing act by Xi Jinping and spotlights China's growing global clout, which has long been China's ambition. Joe and Savannah?
Janice, thank you so much.
China, China, China. We have W's in the chat for a woman that actually looks like a woman. Another W's in the chat for another woman who actually looks like a woman. There we go. That's cool. And better yet, coming from NBC News. What a beautiful world we live in. We had a few chats about Carlson. Tucker Carlson. He was speaking to Israeli media. All right.
Stamping, quite literally. The man with many stages got an Israeli one as well to spread his conspiracy theories against Jews and the Jewish state. Here's a bit of Tucker.
Conspiracy theories. All right. Taking shots at TC. All right, let's see what's going on, girl.
Carlson speaking to Israeli media, Israel's Channel 13.
It seems like we are doing it for fun, or that
I think Mr. Darcy's trying to say Tucker Carlson.
We lost our morality. This is self-defense.
Well, Israel has definitely lost its morality. There's no question about that, of course. I do think, and I would always...
He says it right to him, of course.
He's safe because it's true that Israel has many enemies, many of whom have committed atrocities against innocent Israelis. Blowing up people in cafes in Tel Aviv is every bit as immoral as killing any other innocent in any other country at any other time. It's all wrong.
You raise anti-Semitism. You constantly talk about Netanyahu's influence, as you said, about powerful people.
I am that is says we are truly dumb if we are still teaching children to hide under a classroom desk bought from IKEA. There you go.
People pulling strings behind the scenes about Israel's grip on American institutions. I want to ask you something directly. Do you understand why millions of Jews and Israelis, and not only they, hear that language as an echo of something very old, like the protocol of the Elder of Zion, like dual loyalty and hidden Jewish power?
I am not echoing anything. I'm not implying anything. I am stating what I know to be true because I saw it and the people involved stated it out loud without shame. The Israeli
Cowboy Carlson, dude.
Prime Minister pushed the U.S. president, who turned out to be far weaker than I understood, into a war that hurts the United States.
Gentlemen, no questions needed. Should this interview taken place to begin with?
The answer.
No questions needed.
The short answer is yes. I mean, people have to the right to know who is Tucker Carlson. He's an anti-Semite, and you should expose his.
He's an anti-Semite, Tucker Carlson. Oh. We already went over what an anti-Semite is, right? Someone who... Or should we go over it again? Define anti-Semite. A person who has a hostile, prejudiced attitude toward Jews or who prosecutes and discriminates against them. Although the term linguistically refers to Semitic peoples, which includes Arabs, Assyrians, and others, it is historically and specifically referred only to prejudice against Jewish people. Ah, so you're leaving out all the other Semites. Why don't they just say a different word? All right. Do we need to go into it? Because we don't need to go into it, but how many Semitic countries has Israel attacked? Because this is just like one of the funniest arguments I ever hear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. How many Semitic countries are there on Earth? 22. All right. What is 6 divided by 22? Approximately 27%. Ah, so then the whole state of Israel is only a quarter anti-Semitic. But Tucker Carlson's 100% anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic views. I'm not sure that it was fully exposed in this interview. I highly respect Udi Segal as a media person.
By the way, I love everybody. I love Israelis, Palestinians, Russians, Ukrainians, Americans, everybody. I love everybody. And I hope we can find peace. That's the number one goal.
But I think, he didn't mention a few things there in the conversation with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is representing anti-Semitism in the United States. Everything is the fault of the Jews. For him, no Jews, no news. It's the Jews to be blamed for the war in Iraq. It's the Jews to be blamed for the subprime in 2008. So it's all about the Jews and the Jews that are controlling the United States. There is no other word for Tucker Carlson than an anti-Semite.
Oh, no question the interview should go on air, Ellie. The communications minister, Shlomo Kari, by the way, from the ruling Likud party, come out against this. He's often very harsh on Channel 13 and some other Israeli outlets, saying essentially that they shouldn't have platformed Tucker Carlson, but neglects to mention what we started to see there, that Udi Segal did nothing but challenge Tucker Carlson over the course of the entire interview. That said, I tend to agree with Yaki. I think he...
What did Tucker Carlson get fired for? Or what does it say he got fired for? Confluence of factors with the $787.5 million settlement and the Dominion voting system's defamation lawsuit being a central catalyst. Offensive private messages, including use of derogatory language such as the C word. What's the C word? Towards senior network executives, which alienated leadership. Oh, that's just funny, bro. That's just absolutely. Come on, he's a comedy commentary, political comedy commentator. Escalating toxicity and internal friction, with Carlson reportedly believing he was irreplaceable and clashing with management over editorial control and personnel decisions. All right, concerns from Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch, with Lachlan ultimately making the decision to fire him due to reputational and financial risks. Despite Carlson's top ratings. Despite his top ratings. All right.
In terms of the proportion, challenged him too much on his actual criticism of Israel and not enough on the issue of anti-Semitism. I also would have liked to see more questions.
We got Slimer71 saying Carlson doesn't single out Jews. He talks about Israelis and Zionists. There you go. Robbie says the father of Zionism, Theodore Herzl, invented anti-Semitism in 1879.
Questions, giving Carlson a chance to explain, if you will, the sociology behind his movement. Who are the people?
Jason Beatrice has joined the chat saying, look at it this way. All the religions, Hindus, Christians, Jews, and Buddhists all get along. Islam is the only problem.
People drawn to him and why, so that Israelis could learn about that, for Israelis to understand what's going on in the United States. But to put Carlson on air with Hebrew subtitles to a Hebrew-speaking audience, I think was quite important, as was challenging him. But challenging him in some of the directions that Yaki wanted, I think would have been quite welcome.
So what did we learn from this interview?
Listen, Tucker Carlson has a very sophisticated way to give an interview because he always answers the question with another question. This is the Tucker Carlson way. When he's speaking about the so-called genocide in Gaza, I think Udi Segal.
Sleepy Watcher jumping in the chat saying, before I sold my manufacturing plant, I was in oil-related business for 23 years. Buying oil and drilling yourself is globally the same. Different oil has different prices. The difference is shipping fees. Getting it from point A to point B makes sense. There you
Should have mentioned him is what would you do after not only a massacre of the October 7th and all the...
Lee84 says, so they treated Tucker kind of like a clown, and then he did a Russia exclusive.
Rapes and everything that took place on October 7th. But what would you do with the people that hide behind kids and behind women and behind children? What kind of people there...
I think he's talking about Hezbollah.
They are the Hamas. That do all those kinds of things. So this is what we learned from, I think, Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, there is no new thing that you need to know about Tucker Carlson because his views, I think he went to the extreme. He really lost it. He really lost it. Maybe it's because of outside money that he's getting. Maybe it's because of...
Look at the pictures they're choosing of Tucker. Come on, man.
Other things, I don't know. But no doubt that the guy really is a pure anti-Semite, and he really lost it. But the people in Israel need to see that.
I do also want to tell our viewers who might be curious, there is an understanding.
Do you think he actually believes what he's saying?
In Israel of the woke right.
Right.
Tucker Carlson is a figure who is known about and understood here, and there's a considerable amount of media interest. Like I can say from our broadcast on our Hebrew channel, this is something that our editors and our anchors and our journalists are interested in, and we do talk about to the public. So there isn't a complete romanticization of the American right. This phenomenon is well understood by large parts of the Israeli public, and I think it's certainly good and healthy in a society with a broad and open public debate that needs to understand what's going on in the United States in order for Israel and the Israeli public to be able to make decisions about the way forward in our relationship with the United States. Yeah. For Tucker Carlson to be on Israeli television, again, with Hebrew subtitles for an audience that watches him and will see the content. And of course, also see him challenged, but also try to understand where he's coming from. So people here can then use that information in trying to make decisions about how they think our country and our government should navigate.
Oi says the cooker got fired for not wearing pants while doing his show. He was wearing a thong during those interviews. There you go. Is that true?
A considerable challenge in our relationship with the United States over the medium.
We got Sleepy Watcher. Russia is not part of the international rules because thanks to America, remember, sanction, not part of SWIFT. So Russia and Iran sell with the price China is willing to buy. There you go. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want.
And by the way, I think that there is no difference today.
User TT, how you doing, buddy? Good morning.
In the United States, between a person like Mamdani and Tucker Carlson, I mean,
100%.
there is a convergence of views of anti-Semitism between the left and the progressives, and the right wingers like Tucker Carlson, who is interviewing Nick Fuentes, a Nazi supporter. So I think that there is a convergence of views there.
So again, just as a caveat, we're not here, of course, to give grades to the way the interview was conducted. This is why the phrasing of the question was, should it been held to begin with? Because if, again, we're talking about almost a self-proclaimed anti-Semite, perhaps that's the question, and not, again, how and when and would have, should have, could have in terms of the...
Is she saying, should they have censored this? Or should they not have actually allowed Tucker Carlson to be platformed?
And unquestionably, yes. Unquestionably, yes. This is news. This is an important public figure, whether one agrees with him or strenuously disagrees with him. And the Israeli public, it's important for our public debate and our understanding of the United States, for people to see him, be exposed to him, and then be able to make decisions on the basis of what he has to say. And Ellie, to remind ourselves, half of Republicans under the age of 50, according to a recent Pew Research study poll, half of Republicans under the age of 50 have a negative view of Israel. So this is not only about Tucker Carlson. This is about
how many?
According to a recent poll, him, and then be able to make decisions on the basis of what he has to say. And Ellie, to remind ourselves, half of Republicans under the age of 50, according to a recent Pew Research study poll, half of Republicans under the age of 50 have a negative view of Israel.
Half. All right. A little different from the poll we took, but all right.
So this is not only about Tucker Carlson. This is about concentric circles of people who, to some degree, are listening to and agree with his message.
But here, I would, you know.
User TT says they are telling you who you cannot talk about. There you go. And that is says, well, they lied about a lot of things.
There is a differentiation between people that criticize Israel and anti-Semitism.
Oh, of course.
Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite. If you criticize Israel, this is legitimate. I mean, there are things that you can criticize the state of Israel. Here you should differentiate between people that criticize legitimately Israel and people that are anti-Semites, and for them, the Jews should be blamed for everything bad that happens in this
with
world.
any phenomenon, there are going to be hardcore supporters and hardcore fans of Tucker Carlson, and those who are more loosely affiliated but agree with parts of his message. But these are wide parts of the American public. People here, I think, do understand this. And I don't know if people fully understand what the impact will be on American politics because Donald Trump is still in the White House. But for better or worse, we're about to find out soon.
Privilege.
Yeah. %100% fictional. Yeah. All right. Allegedly. So here we have Ian Carroll saying insider trading is legal now. Okay.
I have a feeling that over the next year, as we report on the descent into whatever they have planned for us,
Thank you
it's
for
going to
your
be
support.
naga, and it's going to be pretty dark, and we're going to need a fucking lot of heavy-duty tinfoil to get us through.
So there's this phenomenon that people are starting to catch on to where a certain news organization predicts serially, many times in a row, an imminent peace agreement between Iran and the United States. Now, that agreement has not materialized. Apparently, we're not actually close to getting one. But at the moment when that's announced, every single time you've seen a massive move in global energy markets and in equity markets, stock market, because people are betting that will have direct effects on the value.
Syed, good morning, buddy. Syed says the Israelis are not Semites, Arabs are Semites, so Israel is the most anti-Semitic entity in the planet. There you go.
Of stocks and or oil or other commodities.
And he's actually about to play a clip of Trump talking about what Trump is willing to do to oil prices for this war.
I also thought oil would go up to 200, 250, maybe 300.
Goodness gracious. Imagine if oil did go up that high, right? Okay, oi. I have no idea if the stock market will go up or down, Mr. Darcy. What do you guys think?
And I knew it would be short term. I thought it would go, I looked today, it's like at 102. And that's a very small price to pay for getting rid of a nuclear weapon from people that are really mentally
Sleepy Watcher, are you getting the Tesla with the self-drive?
deranged.
First off, all 18 U.S. intelligence agencies clearly stated that there's no nuclear weapon. There's no plan to make a nuclear weapon. They were nowhere near making a nuclear weapon. They weren't attempting to make a nuclear weapon. Total bullshit. None of that. Second of all, easy to say small price to pay when your family is getting rich off of allegedly insider trading, making billions of dollars. So yeah, it's easy for him to say small price to pay because he's not paying any price. He's getting money coming in from every single familial relation possible.
Yeah, and when he's got that money coming in, guess what's
The US
happening? All right, so this is from Oi. Trump breaks the UK's Middle East shipping.
Engagement with Iran is not exactly playing out as the globalists expected. The cancellation of war risk insurance by the empire's oldest insurance company was supposed to bring shipping to a halt, spike oil prices, and shatter economies. Operation Epic Fury was supposed to be economically and politically disastrous for President Trump and backfire against him. But the president was ready. He moved on three fronts simultaneously, and Lloyd's never recovered. First, he announced that the Development Finance Corporation would step in with political risk insurance. Lloyd's had pulled coverage. Washington replaced it within days. Second, he announced the Navy was on notice to protect shipping in the Strait as needed. And third, this is the move that tells you everything about how differently this president thinks. Trump lifted some sanctions on Russian oil.
There you go.
Not only that, he got on the phone with President Putin to discuss the conflict in Iran. So let's put this all in context.
Wait, hold on. Trump's helping Ukraine and also helping Russia by lifting sanctions. Am I understanding this correctly? All right. Trying to figure out the game plan. Talk to me.
Last week, Donald Trump branded Britain as our former closest ally. The same Great Britain, which has led the charge to sanction Russia and keep the Ukraine war going, and the same country which is home to Lloyd's of London, which just tried to strangle world oil supply. So instead, Trump turns to Russia to get oil moving and chats up Putin for an hour. The U.S. engaged.
There you go. There you go. Very cool. That's from Promethean Action. Great video. Oh, Trump cut the Ukraine off last I have heard from Oi. Very cool. Good to know. And we got Mr. Darcy saying, oh, shut up, Ian. Ian is money sick. What do you mean by that?
Everyone's insider trading everywhere. They probably got bets on Kalshi and bets on Poly and bets on the stock and bets on the markets. Yeah, it's a small price to pay. Getting rich while you bomb children, while you destroy the global economy. Fuck the global agriculture system. We are going to have a famine. We are going to have a global famine. Like, honestly, there's a lot of very dark conspiracy theories that you could spin about what the point of closing the Strait of Hormuz is in light of the shock to farmers that is currently happening and the massive food shortages that are coming around the world. It's getting harder and harder for me to think it is not planned that way. Honestly, Trump is retarded, but the people...
No, it's not the right one. Sorry, Oi. If you have the right one... That's what the title says. You think you sent it to me on the Discord.
People in charge of this shit, they're not retarded. They knew what was going to happen. They know what flows through the Strait of Hormuz.
They know what flows through the Strait of Hormuz. I copy and pasted. That was the one that popped up. All right, let me see if I can. Here we go. This is where one of the ideas came from. Do you think Tucker will be a great
Mr.
president
Carlson,
for
are
20?
you running for office? Do you consider running for office?
I am not running for office. I have no plans to run for office. I am starting to believe that the Republican Party does not serve the United States, and I certainly believe the Democratic Party does not serve the United States. And so I hope we have an option. I would like a democracy in the United States like I'd like one in Israel. Israel's not a democracy. The United States apparently is not a democracy either. Our government keeps doing things that people don't want. So that's not democracy. It's the opposite of democracy. And I want democracy very, very much.
He wants democracy. Seems like it. Seems like it. Donald Trump making a huge statement. What's going on?
Incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this, but we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're gonna have no bridges.
Oh, did I end that one early? Okay, let me try to figure it out.
A deal that does not include reopening the Strait of Hormuz, or is that now a top priority?
I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them, we can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks, a water mine, drop them in the water.
What a man.
The U.S. engagement with Iran is not exactly playing out as the global. Instead, Trump turns to Russia to get oil moving and chats up Putin for an hour. The U.S. engagement...
No, I played the whole thing.
And now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion to don't worry about the mine. You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like the rest. We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy. We've knocked out their Air Force completely. We've knocked out 158 ships in 3 days. We've knocked out even their mine droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none because they're very good bullshit artists. That's why for 47 years they've been bullshitting other presidents.
1 minute, 27 seconds.
And they haven't done the job. And people are aircraft, weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no...
All right, this one is allegedly extremely funny. Let's see if this is accurate. This is Trump on Israel.
Prime Minister Netanyahu.
But her husband votes against me all the time. Can you imagine? I don't know what's with him. You better ask him what's with him. Her husband, she's married to a certain congressman. He votes against, he likes voting against Trump. You know what happens with that? Doesn't work out well. I don't know why he does. But.
What have you said to Prime Minister Netanyahu about Iran and how long to hold off on strikes?
He's fine. He'll do whatever I want him to do. He's very, very good man.
He'll do whatever I want him to do. Ah, there you go.
He'll do whatever I want him to do, and he's a great guy. To me, he's a great guy.
Ah, cool. Oi, no worries, buddy. Enjoy.
Don't forget, he was a wartime prime minister, and he's not treated right in Israel, in my opinion. I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister, so maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99.
What? That would be wild. Imagine Trump, prime minister of Israel, dude. What in the world? How wild would that be? We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member. Throw in a super chat. It helps. It helps so much.
Did anyone drop a super chat or become member yet?
Yes, absolutely.
Please support this channel, drop a super chat, and become a member.
We got a super chat from 2 amazing people. And no one became a member yet, but soon maybe. And you can bring out Veronica again.
9%. So that's good. But no, he's a wartime prime minister. I just don't think they treat him well.
A wartime prime minister.
I think they have a president over there that treats him very poorly.
You're on the same page with him on Iran?
Yeah.
It's a pretty bold move for POTUS to say that, right? About Double B.
It was over in about 45 minutes. And we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good. And we are a partner with Venezuela. And we've taken hundreds of millions of barrels, hundreds of millions. Over 100 million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out. And paid for that war many times over, many times. You know, the old days, to the victim. Okay, you know that. To the winner belong the spoils, go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor, go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do with it. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing. We didn't know anything about it. Well, if I would have told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful.
That's true. All right, who is this? Kung Fu Frogs. This is for a recommendation from Kung Fu Frogs.
The United States has brazenly resorted to the use of force against Venezuela and demanded that America First be applied when Venezuela disposes of its own oil resources. This is a typical act of bullying, a serious violation of international law, and a grave infringement on Venezuela's sovereignty that
There you go. And this is also from 4 months ago.
also severely undermines the rights of Venezuelan people. China strongly condemns this. I would like to stress that the legitimate rights and interests of China and other countries in Venezuela must be protected. The United States has
There you go.
They had a mess, and you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those generals and those soldiers got together, the police got together, they all got together, they formed ISIS. Not going to happen with us. So Venezuela's been an incredible situation. We went in, we were very successful, military power like nobody's ever seen. The general, Venezuelan general said, I was on that site, I said, I've never seen ferocity like that. I've been doing this for 40 years. He said, I've never seen it. They hit us from 17 different, they were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically when you see that late at night, you know, you could be in trouble, right? And
Yep.
we were all ready. They had their equipment, it was Russian, and they had Chinese equipment. It was all set. They were going to give us a fight. He said, and then they came, and they came at speeds like we've never seen. And they came at 17 different angles.
This is one thing I hope does not happen. This is when you have too much strength in your vehicle and not enough restraint. But let me just frame this correctly for y'all. Oh, I see. All All right, we got it framed there. That'll work. Oh, no restraint. Too much strength and not enough restraint. There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's what I hope doesn't happen, right?
She never said, how we doing? I used to call the Border Patrol guys every day. You can ask them. Paul, ask any one of them. Brandon, ask them all the time. How we doing? How we doing? And we now, I'm proud to say, have a totally sealed border. 9 months, nobody is coming through our border. And nobody even tries because they know they're not going to get through. So we don't have caravans anymore. Right. So maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll be done.
Mr. President, are you allowed to, or are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of...
That's true. Sleepy Watcher jumping in the chat saying, if you ask me, the USA should rebuild the military, but that does not mean you need to use it. Having a big stick is not a weapon. It's leverage. Build up international trust and confidence. Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah, that will be probably one of the most ideal things to do, honestly. And we're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat.
He's in the water, all right? No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us. Your question.
And this right here is just something absolutely incredible. I figure this might be an ideal time to show you this one. This truck just launches so far and it lands it so wild. What's the reasoning behind this thing? The reasoning here is with humans and machines, you can go much further and do so many more things than you even think is possible. It's just absolutely incredible. And another thing is, make sure you follow your dreams and don't give up on your dreams. And yeah, subscribe, turn on those notifications because we're going live every day of 2026. Yeah, if people start saying those hateful things to you, just let that hate roll off of your back like water rolls off of a duck's back. Oh, Jaflop. Talking about Chud the Builder. I don't know. I think that guy's a rage baiter, and whenever you disturb the peace and create too many enemies, bad stuff happens. I don't really know too much about it, but if you want to have a peaceful life, I would say if you can, try to make the right decision, and always try to remember whether someone's black, white, orange, yellow, pink, purple, blue, whatever color they are, they're still human beings. Republicans, Democrats, and try not to group everybody together. Try to make the world a better place, starting with yourself and your family and your friends and those types of things. Sleepy Watcher says, the world needs a confident USA. Letting China be too confident is not a good thing. The world needs yin and yang. When yin and yang is balanced, the world will have peace and prosperity. There you go. So you got multiple perspectives right there. All right, y'all. I love you. The Lord loves you. Take care of yourself, and we will see you soon. And there you go. Yeah, just apply what would Jesus Christ do. There you go. All right, y'all. Until next time. Take care.